Yeah? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Yeah, okay, thanks. Good.
Much better. Yeah.
Great. Okay, good. Thanks. Erica's going to give a talk on Thursday. Come if you can. It will be part two of her way seeking mind. Who knows? But if you're there, we'll all find out. I'm looking forward to it. And a reminder that November 7th is a 1 day sitting and a Jukai, Bodhisattva precept ceremony. We're going to do it partly on half on Zoom hybrid and half in person at the annex, the Sebastopol Community Center annex. So we're figuring that out and we'll keep you in the loop. And we're going to go over and look at the space and see how many people we can safely, with social distancing and masks, and of course, asking everybody to be vaccinated, and then also on Zoom. So if you think you want to come and be there in person, we know that the ordinees, that Wayne and Myra and Sherry and Ellis will be there in person, and I imagine that they'll have a few of their loved ones there, and uh, so let's all be there supporting them. It's a big step. Koans. We're going to back up a little bit and then go forward.
I don't know why I can't hear you.
Huh?
Just barely.
Can you, Judy, try turning up your volume?
Actually, I have it all the way up.
Huh? I don't know. Does anybody else have any? I don't, you know me, I'm not any good at any of this. I'll just keep talking loud. Does that help?
She might try going out and coming in again.
Oh, good. Okay. Did you hear that, Judy?
I did, but it scares me for fear of never getting back in.
I
But I
understand.
will try it.
We'll let you back in. We'll be looking for you. Okay. We'll see you in a minute.
um, hmm.
Koans. The traditional koans, I thought I'd just do a little show and tell. Uh, the Mumon Khan, The Gateless Barrier, commentary by Robert Aiken. The Blue Cliff Records. And the Book of Serenity, the traditional three collections. Koans literally mean, maybe some of you know this, but it never hurts to back up. And it literally means a public case. In Tang Dynasty, China. In the files of law, they're referred to as public records or the case records of the public law court. The feeling being that these are legal cases, prior legal cases, and decisions that set precedents for how to evaluate current cases. I just had my mind in terms of what's happening now with abortion cases and with civil rights is you go to the public record, and what's the record? Not that the public record is always right in this country, we know that, but there are footprints that are deep, and we use those as a reference. It's the same feeling with these koans. In Zen, it's usually a meeting between what we call a teacher and a student. It's a meeting between two people. Traditionally in the koans, it always looked like the teacher was right and the student was being turned or enlivened or enlightened. The student was being the teacher was teaching the student. Dogen, in his commentaries, often turns the whole thing around and just says, everybody's teaching everybody else. Don't get stuck there, because otherwise you think there's somebody on top, and then maybe you'll give up your responsibility to show up fully, and who knows what you might know, and who knows what you might find out together. So it's a meeting. It's a dynamic and alive meeting. And traditionally, there were commentaries, and I'll pull some of those forward today because the commentaries sometimes are really obscure. And you kind of have to know the history of Tang Dynasty China to have them make any sense at all. And you end up just thinking, I don't know anything. And this tradition is like, ay, ay, ay. But that's not the way we're approaching them. What happened over time is that the cases became heavily stylized and traditionalized. They even published books with the right answers in it. So you'd be given a koan, and then you could look it up, and you'd go in, and you could give the right answer. And then I suppose you could pass your koans, and then who knows what would happen. Maybe people thought you were wise, or anyway, it lost its life. We know how that happens, right? The Gateless Barrier, the Mumon Khan, Erica practiced in the tradition, the Rinzai tradition in the beginning. The Mumon Khan is more action oriented. Erica described on Tuesday running in and bells and and it begins with moo. It requires a dynamic face-to-face presentation. I am relatively certain that I never would have survived in that tradition. And I'm just as certain that there is wisdom and that each person finds exactly the right place. The Mumon Khan has 48 cases. The Blue Cliff Records has 100 koans in it. And it emphasizes essential methods of Zen practice. It was compiled in the 11th century, verses and commentaries. The Book of Serenity, the Book of Equanimity, which is more the root collection of Soto Zen, has 100 koans. But the Book of Serenity and the Blue Cliff Records are parallel collections, and about a third of the koans overlap in the two. So it's kind of fun. It's like if a koan pops up, I can go look, and you can look over here and you can look over there, and there's all kinds of great commentaries. One of the really nice ones on the Book of Equanimity, the Book of Serenity, is Jerry Shishun Wick, which I'll bring forward today. I'm also really enjoying the lineage from out of Robert Aiken of John. Well, we did Joan Sutherland and John Tarrant, and I'm going to read you part of a commentary from that lineage, because they over time have found ways to be more playful in this. To take the koans of our lives and the ancient koans, and to find out, what does this mean for you right now? Oh, here comes Judy Breslin. She's making her way back. See? No coming, no going, and great determination. Okay. So in the Soto Zen tradition, they're approached more as a contemplation to be studied and reflected on. Here's what Wick says about them. To reflect on the dialogue. What is it pointing to regarding the nature of mind? Who are you? Who are you really? And what is the true nature? What is your Buddha nature? What is the true deepest nature of your one heart? Really ask, what are people saying? And what is motivating them? What comes forward for you in the koan? Which line is most important? See what causes you to grab onto the koan, and maybe there's some reflection there of something that may free you, or that may be a mirror of, for you, a helpful mirror of that through deep listening and deep reflection could help free you and all of us from the places where we habitually grab or have aversion. He says, what keeps us locked in the self and self-centered and self-enclosed loops? And our question then is, what is freedom, and how do we live in freedom? How does this self live in freedom? And how, as we more and more turn towards the koan of what is freedom, does it help free all beings? Okay, so this one arose for me because my next door neighbor, Ken Sawyer, who was the first person I ever saw when I went into Green Gulch Farm when I was 26 years old. So he's been practicing for a long time. He's now lives next door. We're land partners, and he just had knee surgery, and I was over helping him feed the chickens. This is all this fancy Zen stuff just comes down to, he transmitted to me how to feed the chickens. I really am in love with the chickens. But in his house, he has a wonderful painting on his wall that Robert Althouse did of a koan, and it made me want to know more about it and to look for it. So Debbie's going to put it up right now. And what I'm going to say is, this is a painting of the koan. It's called The Donkey and the Well, or sometimes it's called Choshan's Reality Body. But just be with this for a minute. Just see anything that arises, some feeling, some intuition, some insight. The donkey and the well is here to teach us and wake us up. Okay, let's put it away for right now, and I'm going to talk about it, and then we'll bring it up again. Bye, donkey and well. It totally delighted me. So here's, I'm going to read you just the introduction to give a sense of these traditional koans. The introduction: those who have wisdom can understand by means of metaphors. If you come to where there is no possibility of comparison or similitude, how can you explain it to them? So what is it if you go beyond comparison or metaphors or similes? I can see Marjorie's having a hard time hearing too. Looks that way. Huh.
You know, I noticed, Chris, that when you have book or paper in front of
Oh,
you, that dampens the sound a little.
okay, that's good. Thank you. Okay, so here's the koan. Is that better? Okay, here's the koan. Kaoshan was he and his teacher Dongshuan. There's a wonderful book called Suchness that Taigen Dan Layton did on Suchness and Dongshuan. They're the co-founders of the Soto School. So we're going to the beginning of the Soto School here. Kaoshan asked the old student Day. Listen to the dialogue. The body of reality is like space. It responds to things, manifesting its forms the way the moon appears in the water. I'll read that again. The body of reality is like space. It responds to things, manifesting its forms the way the moon appears in the water. How do you explain this responsiveness? How do you explain this responsiveness? Dai said, his teacher asked him a question. The old student said, it's like a donkey looking into a well. Kaushan said, that's most of it, but it's not the whole thing. And Day says, what's it like for you? They're really trying to figure this out together. They're playing together. And Kaushan said, it's like a well looking at a donkey. If you think it's just the donkey looking into the well, you miss the other half of it. It's like a well looking at a donkey. Keep turning it. Keep being turned. Play in it. Here's the verse that goes with it. Well, I edited it a little bit because some of it's a little obscure. Donkey sees the well, well sees the donkey. Wisdom contains without exception. Wisdom is all embracing. Wisdom has no knowledge, but there is nothing it doesn't know. Purity pervades with abundance. Here's another commentary. Don't try to figure it out. Keep your ears open. Keep your body open. What is this? Well sees the donkey sees the well sees the donkey. What is this deep mutuality? Producing understanding from hearing, you color it with your intellect. Although right before your eyes is fine, kept for a long time, it becomes a sickness. The meaning is distinct of itself. What's in front of your eyes? In other words, this is from Wick, your true self is vast and boundless, conforming to things and manifesting shapes like moon and water. If you totally realize yourself like the vast empty sky, you see that you manifest according to circumstances. But the truth is, whether you realize or not, that's what's happening. Responsiveness. Whether you realize or understand it or not. The original mind, your true mind, your Buddha nature, who you truly are is like a mirror, reflecting whatever comes in front of it, without putting up filters, without putting up projections or ideas. But old student Day is still hanging on to something. He thinks it's like the donkey looking at the well. And Kaushan just pulls that one out too. Well, what about the well looking at the donkey? Don't make it small. Without everything pulled away, you are not tossed around by the phenomena of life. With everything pulled away, you are not tossed around by whatever life brings you, but you can use it freely. Keep your mind open. Keep coming back. What is it? That's where true responsiveness arises. That's where freedom is. That's where life is. The donkey does not hinder the well, and the well does not hinder the donkey. The donkey is the donkey, and the well is the well. When you realize the donkey sees the well, there's really nothing to know. It's just a donkey seeing the well. And when you realize the well sees the donkey, there's no one who knows. When there is no subject and object, we perceive in subject and object. This is pointing at, keep dropping it over and over. See the donkey, see the well. Realize there's nobody seeing anything and the whole world is seeing you. Then your body is like the vast sky conforming to things and manifesting shapes like the moon in the water. Stop making things small. Okay, now I'm going to read a koan that's modern day. A commentary. Maybe it'll help us out a little bit. This is by Sarah Bender, who's in the Robert Aiken lineage, John Tarrant lineage. She says, in this ongoing koan conversation of a life is a conversation between the donkey and the well and you and everything. The koan that's been tugging most at my sleeve is the one that evokes a kind of call and response, or we could say a mutual calling forth, that seems the quality of this time we are living in. She wrote this in 2020. Each day appears as a mystery. I wake up not knowing, but wondering what it will be like today, how it will appear, what it will present, and what it will call forth in me. Oh my goodness, it's a donkey! How will you respond? Some days there's a kind of vigor in it, a wonder that the day appears again at all and the sense of going forth to meet it. Some days, or parts of days, there's a crushing grief, a longing, a thirst, so the day progresses and everything is stained with that longing. Oh, I want to see a donkey. I don't want to see a donkey. I want to see the well. I want to see the bigness of my own heart and mind. I want to be who I truly am. Oh my goodness, all I'm seeing is a donkey. On and on. You sort of get the idea. Some days there's a feeling of being sat upon, being able to reach out a hand or a foot and do some small thing, raising an eyebrow from under there, and that's about all. And yet underneath, water running? Is it alive? So I find myself wondering, in this time, which could be my last days, who knows? What if this was your last day? Certainly the last days of many, and the first days of my grandchildren born into a world I can't even envision. If my allegiance is to all this, if my foundation is here in this wild world, how do I celebrate this sweet and troubled life? And am I enough? This begins to bring the koan closer. Sort of sounds like us, right? It's not two old guys back in China talking about donkeys and wells. These questions feel real and true and deep. So I wonder about the true reality body of this aliveness, the true essential body of the aliveness of this. We might even say the through line. What are we really doing here? And what is this all about? What is this freedom anyway? What is this fundamentally like? This incomprehensible responsiveness. What is this incomprehensible responsiveness? You can't explain it, but we can still muse on it. Wonder about it, celebrate it, be thankful for it. That's what I think this koan is doing. What's it like if you sit and maybe are watching? Are you watching for something? Maybe in your watching for something, you already missed what's right in front of you. And you don't have to be focused, trying to see clearly. It's already so much here. It's as clear as the nose on your face. This freedom. What is freedom? Nope, nope, not that, not that. Had it a minute ago. What is it to just sit completely free and open so that you can smell it and hear its breath? Perhaps freedom already sees you, knows you intimately from all around. What if freedom is everywhere and in each thing? What if it's the donkey and the well and the well and the donkey and the donkey and the well? What is this alive responsiveness with and for the whole world? What is the aliveness of you like just now? What is it to be fully alive right now? Not who you think you are, wish you were. Just this body, just this breath. Can you smell it and taste it? Just this life. What if your actual being right now is also already an expression of the whole essential body as it shows up response after response after response? What if this is it and it doesn't need a goal or a direction? What if the whole world is welcoming you and you are welcoming it? Just this. Somehow, the place where the donkey and the well are is a place of completion. Right here. The event of it, not the location of it. The meeting, the intimate meeting. Beyond ideas, beyond likes and dislikes. The happening of mutuality, a wholeness that's happy but not static. It's alive. The wholeness of this is in the mutuality, not in some idea or thinking you got it. How can you actually meet a donkey fully and completely, responsively? It will take you beyond everything you ever knew. Who knows, maybe the donkey will teach you about the wholeness and freedom of your own heart and a mind that's completely all-inclusive. Don't miss it. It's just this moment, and the next is like that too. Wisdom has no knowledge, but there is nothing it does not know. Therefore, purity, wide open mind, is everywhere and abundant. You don't have to go looking for it someplace else. Somebody else doesn't have it. It's right here, right in the midst of our sorrows and our joys. There's inclusion and intimacy, and not exclusion and definition. That's abundance. You are abundance. You are abundance. Here's a final verse. The donkey looks at the well, a bank of nasturtiums. The well looks at the donkey, a field of violets. It's midsummer, and by the slowly moving river, blackberries are ripening, branch by branch. That's it. This is it. Falling rain, rushing streams. How can we think it's something else? So here's what we're going to do is, Debbie, can you put that up again, please? And just be with the image, the donkey and the well and the donkey. What do you see? How do you respond to this image? How does the image respond to you? What's it teaching you? This ancient koan coming down to this moment of just a goofy looking donkey looking at the well and the whole well as it. So I'm going to put you in small groups. Don't be intellectual.